Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Thank you for joining us today on the Daily Huddle.
Absolutely. Welcome, welcome. So
I'm
glad to
Kimberly.
I'm Zach. It just has my name on the screen this morning. I logged in as me instead of you, which has us. But
Hmm.
we're excited, as we are most Mondays, to be on here with you guys for just a few minutes. And today we want to talk about something that's kind of near and dear to our hearts, and that is how do you switch from being a money worrier to becoming a money warrior? Meaning simply, what is your mindset or understanding how important the mindset is about money? Um, so
Yeah, so our official question, Zach's gonna have to shut off his phone, so he'll be right back. Is from Money Worrier to Money War. I can't even say it, Warrior, conquering financial fears and embracing abundance. So that's our official big title today. So I think in order to have this conversation first, I think we have to talk about what is our money mindset, right? Like, what is it? Where does it come from? How do we think about it? And obviously, the I guess biggest part of your money mindset is just how you think about money, right? What does money mean to you? And for some people, we think in abundance, and for some people, we think in scarcity, right? And I think a lot of it has to do with how we were raised. I think it has to do with what we were exposed to. I think it has to do with how much money we have. Um, all the above, right?
yeah, and I know Dr. Monica said some things on one of the times, either when she was uh, hosting for us while we were missing a week one time or something. But she talked about something magical about the age of seven, like how you grow up and how you experience money
Before the age of
before
7.
the age of seven, is really one of the things that roots you in your money mindset. So, what your parents were going through during that time of your life, or what that looked like for you. So, if you have a desire to change or to kind of identify where your money mindset came from, think back about that and look back on those times with the adult understanding now of what you could do, not what you couldn't do. Let's just say. Um,
I
anyway.
think it's funny. I'll tell y'all a story of our children, and maybe what we did to their money mindset.
Yeah.
But when they were little, we were doing really, really, really well, and so we didn't think about it. It
So
wasn't
it's our
anything.
oldest two. Yeah.
Yeah, it was nothing that we ever thought about. And then, there were some bumps in the road, and we all know 2008, and it was very painful in the financial world, right? So when we would go to the restaurants, we'd still go to restaurants occasionally, much less than we did. But when we go to restaurants, we would stop letting them order Sprite, and they could only order water, like it wasn't a choice, because that was at least $10, right, on our bill that they weren't going to do. And then during that whole time, we'd go to the Mexican restaurant because you could get two pick threes and feed our whole family for like $30. So it was that mindset that we were in at that moment. But later, obviously, the world turned around and things got better, and we took them to a really nice dinner. And my oldest was like, I can't eat here. Like there's
She
nothing
was
on the menu that
she
I
was
could
so
eat. Like she
uncomfortable.
was so uncomfortable because it was expensive.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God, like I appreciate that from you. Like I want you to be frugal, but I also want you to know it's okay sometimes to order an expensive meal. But I think all of our reactions and all of our experiences that we've had in life create our money mindset, just like those.
Yeah, and she's still that way. I mean, she's by far the most frugal of our kids. She was the oldest during that time frame. So our second two were born in 2008 and 2010. So right there in that spot. But by the time that they were 7 years old, we were, the 2008 mortgage collapse was in the rearview mirror far enough. So when you can look back and see where you were during that time of your life prior to age seven, I thought that was a pretty good thing to refer back to, because that's one of the reasons we struggle, I think, sometimes, is to understand why we feel the way we feel about money, whether we feel that it's a scarcity or whether we feel that it's available. We just have to go get it. One of the things in the study of over 10,000 millionaires that was done, we were looking at some research on this, was that 97% of them believed they could become a millionaire. So it was part of the mindset that made them have the ability to be successful. So.
Yeah, I thought that was huge. We talk about mindset a lot in business, and we talk about mindset with our kids, and that it is possible. You can do it, right? But a lot of times we don't think about it from a money perspective, especially. And you guys know we had the shift from employee to entrepreneur years ago, and it was one of the best things that we ever did. But retraining your mindset to let you know that you don't have that cap anymore. Because if we're an employee, we do, right? Other than at least in our job. I know that we can still, have side hustles and things like that, but we have to lift that lid and allow ourselves to think we can, to think it's possible.
Yeah.
Because if it isn't possible, it's not going to happen, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. We deal with people's financial plans. We deal with mortgage applications. We deal with all those different pieces. And when you're talking to people about setting a budget or finding money to invest or how to get from where they are to where they want to be with a financial plan, first part is identifying things that they're spending that they shouldn't, or trying to save money in that particular piece. But the biggest tool that we have is not a product that people can buy or invest in. It's the ability to earn extra money, and that teaching of that mindset that I'm not, like, I do have 24 hours in a day. I'm not limited by what my salary is or what my hourly rate is. So if I have either one of those, and I'm only limited by my thought process about what I can do. We've had this conversation many times. I think about business opportunities all the time, no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing. I'm driving down the road, I look over and I say, wow, look at that. What would be great if on this piece of property, you put this here, and look at all the things around it. And it becomes a thought process if you allow yourself to have that. So.
And I think it's something that you definitely have to allow yourself to have, but you also have to train yourself to think that way, right? Whether it's the books that you read or the podcasts that you listen to or the people that you hang around, you need to put yourself, and you guys have heard me say this before. One of our mentors, Hubert, he says, brainwash yourself or somebody else is going to. You're being brainwashed every single day by everything around you and everything that you consume, right? So consume the things that are going to make you better, right? Train your brain and work on yourself and really do that to make you better. And read those books and those podcasts and things like that. But I think one of the how do you transition from being worried to being a warrior, right? Because that was obviously the first part of our topic today. I think pull your head out of the sand. So many times we sit down with people, men, women, families, whoever, to talk to them about their finances, and they don't want to talk about it, right? They don't want to look at it. They would much rather stick their head in the sand like an ostrich and just ignore it. And ultimately, what does that do? It makes them more nervous because they don't know what's going on. It makes them more anxious. It makes them more worried. And every single time when we've had the hard conversations and, tell people it's like taking your clothes off in the middle of a fully packed like basketball gym. It's uncomfortable, right? I want to know it all. But once they do and they unpack it all and we put it on paper and give them a simple little plan, we might not can fix it all that day, but they feel so much better just because they looked at it, just because they acknowledged it, just because they put it out there. So I think that's your first step is just acknowledge it, right? Acknowledge where you are. You might not can make magic happen today, but just by looking at where you are, you can make some small changes. We've talked about before, little changes, right? It's not going to make you a millionaire, but little changes like putting everything on auto pay. So you don't have to worry about that anymore, right? Looking at your checking accounts every 6 months to a year and your bank statements and things like that to make sure that you don't have money just draining out of a hole somewhere. Those are little things that you can do. But the biggest thing that you can do, like Zach said, most people's problem isn't that they don't make enough money or that, yeah, it is that they don't make enough money. Yeah, just kidding. Most people's problem isn't that they can't manage their money, right? Because they can manage it. They can put it here and there and where it needs to go. And they've got these spreadsheets and budgets. And a lot of people know to the penny what their bills are going to be every single month. The problem is they don't make enough money. right? So for most of us, if we want to be a millionaire, if we want to be a warrior, if we want to have abundance, we got to go figure out how to make more money. And I think in today's world, there's plenty of opportunities out there, right? Whether it's the financial services business like we did, whether it's we have a kid that was cutting our yard, and he actually had to move back home, so gave it to somebody else. And he was telling us how many clients he had. And Zach and I, because that's what we do, right, in our brains, I was like, I bet he probably makes like $7,000 or $8,000 a month. That's good for a kid, cutting people's yards. I mean, he's working, he has to work, but still, like that's a really great deal. You have all of your TikTok, right? I see these people, or Facebook, because I'm Facebook old, right? So I see all these people on Facebook that are now, apparently you can be paid on Facebook now, and they're posting their like $16 or whatever that they've made from whatever Facebook is paying them for. Amazon resellers, like there's so many different things to do now. But you got to make more money, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's funny because I'm going back to mindset. As people find success, and I hope that I can have this guy on here as a guest. We've talked to him about it, and he wants to. He is a big he listens to podcasts all the time. He's all about motivation. But when I years ago was helping a company get some stuff solved in Charleston, and I was helping them do some hiring, and they were hiring for it was basically a warehouse management position, and they required a college degree. There were several other requirements that were on there, and this guy came in for the interview. We talked, we hit it off. He was very, very qualified for it was an electrical company. He's very qualified with his history on those things, but didn't have a college degree. I was like, I don't care. We're going to hire this guy. This is a good move. And he's still with them, and he's been promoted multiple times. He's running programs for them now. And so sometimes it's just having somebody give you that chance and believing in yourself that can change that money mindset. But he's so funny because he talks about growing up with a single mom. And again, like I said, hopefully I can have him on here to tell you his story. But they had that scarcity mentality, not just up until he was 7. I mean, it was most of his childhood. And he said this thought process about money now that he's making money and saving money and investing money is all about how his kids need to understand, how to be frugal, but also that you're not limited, which is incredibly fascinating for me from that perspective. But yeah, sorry, my ADD took me down a different channel.
No, I think it's good. I want him to be on and tell a story because I
Yeah.
think it's fascinating.
That's where I was going with that. Read books. It put good information in your head. If you're watching this today, hopefully you get something good out of what we say. But there's such an abundance of information about mindset and about how to correct your thinking process. So definitely make sure that you're spending time in the morning and in the evening, either consuming something other than cat videos on. So Gio's got his hand up.
Hey, Gio, did you mean to have your hand up? Okay. Talk to me. You're muted, but talk to me anyway. You're muted, but tell me what you want to say.
Yeah, thank you. Um, one one of the things that I'm hearing you're saying, it's like I'm looking at these two worlds, and there is a world of becoming more. And I remember this was one of those quotes that just detonated on me and quite never left me when I heard it from Jim Rohn many, many years ago when he said, if you want to have more, you have to become more,
Mhm.
right? You have to become more attractive, right? And then he was pointing to what you're pointing to, which is becoming more is uh, feeding myself with a particular kind of knowledge of being more, of becoming more. And then you're also pointing to this world of, but it's not just becoming more, it's making more money. It's like you're saying, don't, today I'm hearing you're saying, don't focus so much on managing your money, focus more on making more money. And I understand from your own story, you guys used to be teachers, and at some point, I imagine you guys managed the money well. What was it for you that made it real, like a real hard, serious decision? Nope, we're going to make more money, and it's going to take something, right? It's going to take the people that know you as a teacher, know you as something else. How did you guys deal with your, it's sort of, I'm going to say it wrong, right? The guilt or the shame of making more money. How did you guys deal with that?
Yeah. So, well, we had to first get past the guilt of taking our kids to daycare every day and dropping them off when we both went to spend full time with other people's kids, coaching sports after school, before school. That was the biggest guilt that motivated us when we realized one of our teaching salaries went completely to pay someone else to take care of our kids while we went to take care of other people's kids. And so, as a function of necessity, we realized that we had to do something different. And I say we, I'm taking credit for this because I would have been, Kimberly and I would have both been in education, still there for our entire careers, probably gone into administration, like what my parents did, to make more money, right? Go get another degree and go back to try to get another $1,000 a year or whatever it is. But Kimberly, during her maternity leave, my aunt came and sat down at our house to do our financial plan. She was in the financial business at that point in time. And she came just to make sure that we were managing that little money we had well and put together a great plan for us. But before she left, she said, you know what? You really should take a look, because part of the discussion was we're trying to find money because it's all going to the daycare. It's all going to things that are not getting us in a better position, and we're just surviving, right? Like most people are, paycheck to paycheck. And my answer, of course, was coach more sports, go back and get a master's degree, all those kind of traditional answers. And Kimberly said, you know what? I think I'm going to listen to Jeannie and I'm going to give this a shot. And while she was on maternity leave with McKenna, who was born in 2002, she got licensed and spent countless hours with Jeannie out in the field, seeing clients, getting
That
trained.
didn't like me very much.
So I was Mr. Mom. I was still coaching, still teaching, and then she left. She was making enough by the time the next March came around, when contracts came out for us to sign. She's a special ed teacher, so I knew that even if she took a year off, she could get a job back. Right, it's one of the most needed positions out there. So we had that discussion within our household of it kind of was a discussion. It was kind of Kimberly just said, yeah, I'm not going back. And then you know, I don't know. I mean, I got interviewed by Mauricio one time on his podcast talking about that transition from teaching into the world that we're in, and I had to give teachers a pat on the back. That would have been my only guilt thing, is I still can't talk poorly about the job itself. It's very rewarding from a emotional standpoint, from making a difference. And if we don't have good teachers, we have a big problem. But at the same time, they're not going to get wealthy. Anything that's funded by the federal government and tax dollars is not going to be built to make somebody wealthy. So that's my guilt, is that I can't say it's a bad thing. I can just say that they don't get paid enough, and most of them that I know have a second source of income. What did you do?
Well, I think you have to kind of go all the way back, right, to when we first met, and probably like all of us, we all wanted to make more money. We always wanted to make more money. So when we first met, we were in Amway. We got into Amway together, and that's a really, for us, it was not a very financially rewarding business, but it was definitely an education that we had never had before at all, because of the business books and the people books and the personal development, the self-development that they pour into you. They really do, right? But we didn't make any money, so we didn't stay there. And then somebody showed us a rainbow vacuum cleaner, right? And I really, 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 really wanted it. So I made Zach sell them, because if you sold 5 of them, then you could get one for free. So I made Zach do that.
Yep.
So just all of our friends and family, I was like, you need one of these vacuums. We still have a rainbow today. We were on like our 4th one. Swear they're the best things in the world. But still, so we always did things like that, but never enough to really make a difference, never enough to really make a career shift. And I'm sure when lots of reasons, when Jeannie first approached us, it was a resounding yes. Like, I need to make more money. I need to quit, dropping my babies off first thing in the morning and getting them in the middle of the night and doing it all over again, right? But I also wanted to win.
Mhm.
And so I think there was a lot of guilt for me when I first started, because Zach was Mr. Mom, right? We had two babies, and he was like an anchor behind me, and I wasn't having it. So he was at home, and he was taking care of babies, and there were a lot of late nights that I gave up more time, right? What I wanted was time with my kids. I was giving up more time. So eventually I'd have the ability to have my time, right? Which is hard. So I don't know. I think that's a guilt. But then I think as we finally did make that shift and make that transition, I think we also did have guilt about being super successful and making a lot of money. I remember,
Oh, we had, yeah, we were in our, are you talking about the Christmas party again?
yeah, I was like, what should I say?
Yeah, we
Friends
were,
watch this, but
we were
we
at
were
a,
young, right? We were young and doing really, really well.
yeah,
So
and we, bought a nice house, and it was on the golf course, and our neighbors were all 15, 20 years older than us, and
30 years older.
maybe 30 years older than us. I don't know. And it was, we had Christmas parties there every year, and had a lot of our neighbors came. We had a lot of people from our business came, and then we had friends from college
We
that
love
came.
throwing parties.
We wanted everybody to come, open the house, everybody come over. And we had I had a group of people that had some interesting snide comments that were obviously, that we were showing off, and that we were trying to, that was not, that there was guilt that was placed in our direction, but I don't know that we necessarily received it from that point.
I don't know.
I don't know. That's a very good thought-provoking question about.
I don't know that we answered anything that you just asked us, but
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
You know,
I think
one of the things that I hear that also time is running out, but I want to ask anyway, and thank you for allowing me to ask questions. One of the things that I also hear is so Kimberly, based on all the things that she already wanted, it was what the aunt came. What's her name? Aunt
Jeannie.
Jeannie.
Yeah.
Jeannie became this before and after human being in your life, right? And when Jeannie came, you were sort of ready to look at something in a real way, given you were already a yes to life, and you were already a yes to abundance. You were looking, right, and then both of you as a couple are already a yes to sales. Like, I'm gonna sell a vacuum cleaner so that I can save money, right? So you guys were a yes and to that, and I think most of us are not a yes to abundance. We are a yes to, I would have just bought the vacuum cleaner. I would have not sold 5.
I didn't have enough money to buy the vacuum cleaner, but I wanted it.
Like, but I got that, Kimberly, because but you were still looking. Okay, Zach, you're gonna go sell 5 rather than Zach. Let's open up another credit card, right, to get the vacuum cleaner. And so then this became a yes, something you shadow her, something you became good at. And then there is another aspect that I would love to hear from you guys, which is the aspect of consistency. Because many people, they see an opportunity, they also see the system, they see that it does create results, that they see the testimonials from whatever industry, because there is testimonials in any industry, but in this particular one, in financial services. But most people give up. Most people don't stay consistent. What was your mindset aspect that you would continue to create results and not sort of go back to something else? How did you guys manage I'm not going back, I'm just going to continue?
That was tough. It was a roller coaster ride. If you're talking about that 2008, how we stayed in the game, which at that point we were really in the mortgage business heavier than anything else. And if you stayed in, and you could hold on, it was going to come back. And the ones that stayed in and stayed consistent, stuck with it, were going to be there to benefit from that. But the biggest eye-opening thing when it was explained to me, and we did, our mind shift went from a transactional, I can give more hours, or I can sell more things, to a building mindset about building a business and building businesses. But that's what really blew my mind one time, was when it explained so simply to me, is as an employee in the beginning, you're way overpaid for what value you bring to the company. You come in, they're paying you your full salary while you're in training. You're not really making them any money. You're not really doing anything. But as you become more experienced and as you become more valuable to the company, that money doesn't change. So you become more or less and less well paid the longer you stay with a company, because they're getting a lot from you. You're very productive and those kind of things. But when somebody explained to me that building your own business is exactly the opposite of that, you are so poorly paid in the beginning, front end loaded with lots of work, so poorly paid. But if you are consistent and you stick with it, right, and you realize that the business gets the money before your bank account does, and before the new cars roll out, the business has got to get that money back. The consistency will pay you forever, and you become so much more highly paid for your time. At that point, I thought to myself, why would I do anything for someone else and become great at it? Why would I not do something for myself and become great at it, whatever that is, so that when I'm great, I was always great, right? But when I'm great at whatever I'm getting paid for, I'm getting my value, right?
Just say yes.
So, but anyway.
But I think in the beginning of that, while you're trying to develop consistency, right? I think in the beginning, when you're not being paid as an entrepreneur, when you're building that and you're pouring your heart and soul into something, it is all about your mindset. It is all about what you're consuming. It is all about what you're listening to, because you got the little bird on your shoulder telling you every single day, even when you win, that you're not going to win, right? That it's not possible, that just shut up and go get your job. We got our family, like talking about the financial services world, even when we were doing like really, really, really well, like probably, we were probably making $500,000 a year at 27, like a lot of money, right? And my dad's like, I know you guys are doing great and all, but why don't you just go work at Merrill Lynch? And I'm like, what is wrong with you? So even when you win, you still have all those doubts, right?
Yeah.
And
well, he wanted that name recognition, that larger.
But I'm just saying, regardless, you have the doubts. Because then
the doubters, for sure.
The doubters, but it makes you question yourself. And I think you have to ignore the noise. Period. Ignore the noise, push it away. I don't care what you're going to say about me. And it's hard. It is literally a daily practice to refocus, reset, retrain your mind every single day. And I think if you're consistent with that, with building your mindset, then you'll be consistent with whatever you do.
There's a book I read years ago, and we got it from during the Amway years, but it's called Acres of Diamonds. And it's a story about this guy that is mining for diamonds, and he's digging and digging and digging and digging and digging for years and years, and he stops short. And then somebody basically picks up, if I remember the story, picks up right where he left off after he quit. And in like 2 or 3 days, they found acres of diamonds, because he quit. He did all the hard work, and he got to that very end. And quit. So I knew Chase would know what I'm talking about. But it's a great story. Stories like that all day long is that the number one thing that people don't do is allow themselves enough time to be successful. Our patience, or our ability to wait and work has really been reduced with the immediate gratification society that we live in right now. So that's becoming harder and harder to stick with. Even if it is with posting and content and those kind of things, people want to get 1 million likes on their first video, and the algorithms don't work that way. We've talked about that. You got to post and post and post and post, and do it. You got to be bad at something before you can be good at it. And you're right. You got to be good at it before you can be great at it. And you have to be great at it before you can be exceptional. All those things take time and repetition, practice. So, and it's not.
Yeah, it's not 9:30, but I want to repeat something. I want to the way we say it, the way Sorel and I say it is, I would like to recreate what you just said. Something in particular that I love what you both are ending with, but particularly there's something about being in business and about creating abundance, and without, and like you said, without teachers, there's no world without them, and somehow we got to find a way to pay them more somehow. Uh, and I'm profoundly thankful for the teachers of the world, profoundly. And then you said, however, when you jump into the business world, and I love the connection that both of you did. You've, like Kimberly said, you've got to find a way to continue to feed your mindset, because at the beginning you're grossly underpaid.
Yeah.
For a long time, when you're in a business, you deserve to get paid more, and you won't. But then later on, you're overly overpaid, incredibly overpaid. You don't do much. You move a finger and you make so much money, and you got to give some time for that. And I think that's one of the things I'm taking away. And thank you so much for today's episode. It's been phenomenal.
Well, thank you for engaging and being involved too. So that always helps to keep the mind flowing and have a dialogue. So, but guys, as we go out into our day today and we hit the road to head back to our next destination, we'll remind you of the things that we focus on at the Daily Huddle, and that's to love, laugh out loud, stress less. I mean, each one of these deserves a minute, but I'm just going to keep
Go
going right
from a
through it.
worrier to a warrior.
That's right. That's right. Take care of your body. Feed yourself right. Make sure that you eat mostly plant-based, eat things that are good for you. Give your time. If you don't have money, give. It feels good. It's important. Get your sleep, and then get your exercise. Get up and move. And then finally, take that pause. We all say this differently, but that pause between stimulus and response is a very important time. So check your behavior. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Guys, it's great to see you. Thanks again, Gio. And read those books. Keep that mindset going in the right direction. We'll see
you guys
tomorrow on the Daily Huddle.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Excellent job.